Happy Friday the 13th. This is Geoff from Seizure again, just kind of welcoming you to the third part of our three-part never before heard release of our pilot episode that Jason and I did way back in September of 2017. And we talked about the first two Friday the 13th in part 1 and part 2, and now it's time to talk about Friday the 13th part 3, which we did watch in glorious, sort of glorious 3D, but we look forward to getting that out to you and getting that started here in just a second. But as I had mentioned back on Wednesday when we released part 1, going forward, you no longer have to wait an extra Wednesday in between the new episodes. Starting next week, we will be on a weekly schedule, so look forward to that. And we're definitely looking forward to getting even more episodes out to you, and hopefully you're excited about hearing from us as well. But without further ado, let's get into Friday the 13th, Part 3. All right, so part 3. Now, part 3 is where I feel the makers of the movie, 1, have their formula. 2, it's really the beginning of what everybody thinks of Jason Voorhees.
Yep.
And there are a few different reasons why. And the obvious one, this is where he gets the hockey mask.
Sure.
But there's
it's definitely more than that, though. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a physicality to him that people think of. Like, even though Kane Hodder is not as tall as this guy, or seemingly as tall as this guy, there's a strength that carries forward from here on out.
He starts to become that unstoppable force that you know and know of when you think about Jason. Yeah.
Right, and he's still basically human.
Yeah.
However, what we talked about with him becoming a campfire story...
Yeah. The legend has grown.
The legend has grown because there's a new element to this that's added, and I'm not talking about 3D. There is also...
It's a new dimension in terror.
It's a new dimension in terror, yes. But it also, even though it picks up directly after part 2, he does not seem like he's got a detached shoulder.
Right, yeah.
So he is... So
he somehow heals himself.
Yeah, like he's Wolverine or something.
Right.
Like he just, and it's all fine again.
Yeah, he doesn't seem hampered at all. Yeah.
No, because he uses his left arm a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's now an expansion to the story of Jason Voorhees, and now instead of it primarily focusing people coming into the Crystal Lake area, we now have a local,
right? Yeah,
which is something that becomes a running theme, pretty much throughout the rest of the series. It focuses primarily on locals, which is interesting because it also is now the first movie in which there is not the discussion of a camp. These people are showing up not to the camp where the camp counselors were killed, not to Crystal Lake, but they are going to some sort of cabin to party or whatever.
Right.
But it's meant to be kind of like a weekend, hey, let's have fun. So we're now adjacent to the adjacent.
Yeah.
And it's almost like we're filling out the entire 12 o'clock circle of Crystal Lake.
Which I think is a brilliant way to make a sequel. Because you're able to continue the story. It's almost like Halloween 2, right? You're able to continue the story immediately the next day with totally different people because Jason is still on the loose, right?
Yes, because as we see at the beginning, the recap from part 2, Jenny defeating Jason. We only see Jenny and Paul leave the shit shack, and we see Jason move.
Get up. Yeah, move. Not even
move
up,
his hand.
Move. Yeah, yes. Yeah. He's not.
So
dead.
He's not dead.
Right.
The credits are thrown at us.
Yes. like in a new dimension of terror.
In a new dimension of terror.
So we should say that we watched this today, all 3 in a row, and watched this one in 3D. So
and that was rough.
It was rough. So there was a DVD release of this movie in the old red and blue, kind of like old 3D style that you can still watch with
headache inducing.
Yeah, headache inducing. I mean, I got a little nauseous at one point, but
yeah, you gotta close the red eye and look through the blue.
We powered through it, and there are some really fun moments with that, but. Yikes, it was rough because everything is washed out color-wise.
Yeah, well, also remember back then, I think in order, if I remember correctly, from my days of being a projectionist, once upon a time I was a projectionist, for those people who don't know me, most of you don't know me, if I remember correctly, where I was a projectionist at, we could not display 3D movies in the old red and blue style, because we did not have silver screens. I believe, I could be wrong, but they were called silver screens because I think silver nitrate was coating the screen.
I think that's right.
But anyway, whatever it is, the term silver screen is a literal term.
There are no more silver screens in Indiana. The last one was Calston Arts.
Yes, which is where this movie once played in 3D,
which is beautiful.
And actually, I said earlier that we went and saw it. We didn't. It sold out. We saw Sexy Beast.
We saw Sexy Beast.
I love that fucking movie, and we're better for it. We are better for it. I mean, because we eventually watched Friday the 13th 3D in 3D,
right?
But we got to see Sexy Beast on opening weekend. That's a fucking great movie.
Yeah, and the studio spent a ton of money.
They designed a whole brand new camera.
A whole new camera system. The Luma, I believe, is what it was called.
Something like that. And people didn't like it.
And not only that, but people did not like it. The camera crews hated this thing.
Well, it added a crane, which I think made everything more difficult. It was like attached to this big long thing.
And there was a very precise style of acting. Everything had to kind of come directly at the lens.
Right. It's not like it approximated.
Right.
Like the old school, like when Creature from the Black Lagoon came out, and he swatted at the screen. He didn't have to swat directly at the screen. He could swat like from the side, and it would still project out.
But the idea was
the Luma had to be straight at.
The idea was that it had more depth to the image.
Yes.
It felt like it was more in your face, and honestly, even sitting on the couch here,
there were a few shots that were very good.
That were very good. I mean, you're kind of pinching in front of your face, like that's it right there.
Yeah, that's that nipple right there.
That THO. I mean, there were some really cool moments, but also the studio Paramount had to spend a bunch of millions of dollars just to get the projection rigs.
Yes, because they had to outfit every theater to be able to show it. Which then later that was used in other movies like Jaws.
Jaws 3D, Amityville 3D.
Yes,
probably the most notable.
Yeah,
Jaws 3D.
Yeah, because those were the studio films.
Yeah.
Speaking of Amityville, that's another one of those 70s horror movies that was independently, even though I think MGM released it, it was independently made and therefore seemed better than everybody else.
Well, they were. I think the part that the end they had. The critical end they had was that it was technically based on a true story, right? It's
based on a story.
It's like a ghost story.
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's...
Well, and it was a psychological thriller as opposed to a horror movie.
And, of course, The Exorcist, I think, legitimized some of that as well.
Yeah, religious horror is big. That was a big part of the 70s was... demons, not just The Exorcist. Before The Exorcist, Hammer was dealing with a lot of devil type of stuff.
Because you're dealing with a lot of morality. You're dealing with a lot of good versus evil. It's very clear.
Pure good versus pure evil.
So,
I mean, very easily distilled good versus evil.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
So you've got this new 3D thing. 3D in and of itself is a gimmick.
Yeah.
This was the third film in a franchise.
Yeah.
It is, until Freddy vs. Jason, the highest grossing one.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing.
Yeah,
because,
it is, but not really.
But not really. I mean, gimmicks. People go see gimmicks. I mean, there's no joke. I mean, say what you will about Avatar. The fact that it was entirely 3D is a big reason why I went to see it in the theater, and it was good 3D. It was great 3D.
Because James Cameron was gonna fuck our eyeballs
right out of our skulls.
Yeah,
and he did. And I,
in Comic Sans.
And I appreciated it. I mean,
it's a technical marvel. But...
Yeah, and he spooned me afterwards, and it was great. We had a great night. James Cameron and I.
And I haven't seen it since.
I have not seen him since, but I wanted to. But we had that one night. It was magic. I couldn't top it. Could not top it. Did not want to see him again.
Yeah. It was a one night stand.
It was a one night stand. It was perfect. It was.
James Cameron is that kind of filmmaker. You have sex with his movie once every decade, because he does something new, something groundbreaking.
Yes. Although
that you can't help yourself but marvel at.
I will say, and this is really off topic, but now 10 years on or 20 years on, Titanic's a pretty good movie.
Oh,
it is. I mean, it's shallow, but the wonder of it all,
I guess,
is better than Avatar.
It's not Best Picture.
Oh no, compared to LA Confidential, fuck no. Anyway, off topic.
Way off topic. Okay.
So anyway, James Cameron and I had a wonderful, loving night.
Yes.
Back to Friday the 13th. Okay, so you have this gimmick. It works brilliantly. It makes a ton of money. By this point in time, Jason's a household name.
Yeah.
And
he still doesn't have his hockey mask yet.
But we get a fucking kick-ass reveal shot of him getting that, or coming out with that.
Right.
But so this movie starts with after the recap, there's like a mid-20s lady who looks like a 40-year-old with hair curlers and everything.
Yeah.
I'd be really curious what she looks like. You got greasy, gross, kind of Bob Belcher.
We can't forget also like the disco theme.
Oh, the disco theme.
I mean, here's the thing: you've got a gimmick of Freddy. You've got this just ridiculous like disco theme, intro.
Which in 1982, disco should not be a thing.
You've got the the iconic title card for Friday the 13th, which is already like a 3D kind of graphic, but then an ultra 3D.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this whole thing is set up to be like a huge event.
Yes.
Like all of it is.
Yeah,
it's becoming self-aware.
And it is saying we are a Hollywood movie. And we're going to live up to the glitz and glamour.
And it's exploiting itself at the same time.
Yes. And so, So then, that's when we see 25-year-old lady dressed like a 40-year-old watching the news report saying what happened.
8 murders. There's your clue, kids.
Yeah. And Jenny's being loaded into the ambulance.
Yeah.
Harold, her husband, which I only remember that name because she says it a ton. Harold. Is kind of like Bob Belcher.
Yeah.
Kind of a grosso, who we do get to watch shit in a toilet.
While he drinks whiskey from the bottle.
Which is gross.
He deserved to die.
Yeah. He gets axed in the face, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And she gets killed by a knitting needle.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool.
Where's my needle?
Yeah, right. Which she sets up like a few minutes before. So then we meet our main cast of victims. We have Chris, who is a local, who has been away from the area for a little while and has come home and wants to spend time with her friends. She has a friend who's Prager's, which is kind of problematic. Something that movies would not do these days.
Kill a pregnant woman?
Kill a pregnant woman.
Well,
Jason gets 2 for 1.
They already killed a guy in a wheelchair.
So might as well up that ante.
Exactly.
In 3D, we're going to kill a pregnant lady.
Yep.
She doesn't show. She's not showing pregnant. And but Jason's definitely pro-abortion.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Pro-choice all the way.
Yeah. Well, Jason Voorhees is pro fuck your choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm making my choice. Yeah.
He's pro Jason.
He's pro Jason. You have Shelley. Shelley, I like Shelley. He's kind of shit on throughout the movie.
Fuck Shelley.
He's the goofy. He's very shy. He's very self-conscious. You see him. They're bringing him to a girl's house where he's going to be set up with this girl for the weekend. She is way out of his league.
Yeah.
But if he had a little confidence, he might. And she said she liked him.
Yeah.
But the first time you see him, he's wearing a goofy ass mask.
Yeah.
The Alice Sweet Alice mask.
Yeah, he's trying too hard to like be jokey
and lighthearted, but he's just he kind of comes off as an asshole.
And he's a less malicious prankster.
He is not, but yes, he is not as irresponsible.
Ned has like a confidence in his prankster
that makes him irresponsible.
Yeah.
Shelley is lacking the confidence.
Lacks all confidence.
So he is absolutely 100% innocent.
He's kind of hiding behind these
moments
masks of acting out in these masks.
Yes. Yeah. One of the masks he has is a hockey mask, which he uses to scare his date. By jumping out of the water, I don't know why anybody. Hockey people don't.
It's ludicrous.
Aren't in the water.
But it's funny because it's just a prop. I think that the hockey mask was just a prop.
It was just laying around.
And I don't think anyone knew that would be Jason's mask.
And certainly
everyone takes credit for it, but nobody knows how Jason actually got his mask.
So you have boyfriend of pregnant girl, who I'm assuming does not know he's about to become a father.
Right.
But also, I'm not sure that he is the father because they make the joke about how do you have sex in the hammock?
Yeah.
And he asks, how do we do this? And she's like, first you take off your clothes and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I know how to do it. It's like, well, are you the father or the kid or not? Because if you didn't know how to do it and you're the father or the kid.
I think it's just a joke. Like, she's just fucking with him. Cause
I don't think that. I think he's the new boyfriend. Really? I think he's the new boyfriend.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway, who gives a fuck about any of this continuity? Yeah. So, except for us right now.
Right.
So
everyone is like tuning out right now. Like they're like, I'm gonna listen to some other blog. It's best of the worst on. Like, They have a new one out.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Plinket's Ghostbusters review. So and then you have the girl that Shelley's being set up with, super cute, really nice, hot Latina.
Yeah.
I'm digging it. I'm into it. She seems to not be terribly interested in Shelley. I don't blame her. He's kind of a dick. I mean, not a dick, but like he's an asshole. He's an idiot. He's constantly trying to impress her. Dude, stop with the juggling. Stop with the fucking pranks. Just be yourself. Your buddy's trying to help you out with this, but whatever. Then they go to the adjacent place.
Adjacent to the adjacent place, yeah.
Yeah, where Chris's boyfriend, who looks like a 40-year-old dude, is there, and all these people are like in their 20s, you assume, because they're not kids. They seem a little bit older, just kids young adults having a fun weekend. There's the two stoners who are straight up hippies.
They're like the stereotypical hippies.
Yeah, they're the stereotypical hippies.
And they're probably 10 years older than everyone else, it seems. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 35.
Yeah.
But they're one guy looks like Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
And then his girlfriend.
Yeah.
So they're constantly smoking pot. They're constantly having the munchies. They even set up the fucking 3D shot of the popcorn popping out and the guy trying to catch it with
his mouth.
That's so stupid.
This is, I think, the first time too that these movies have kind of devolved into caricature.
Yes.
Also.
Yes, because Shelley is kind of overweight. He's got the curly hair. He looks like a loser.
Yeah.
The biker gang that they run into later is totally caricature.
Yeah. It's...
Because they can't decide if they want to be 70s blaxploitation bikers or greaser bikers.
Right.
The girls they all look the same.
Yeah.
There are times in some of the pre-show like documentaries I was watching where I was like, wait, is that Chris or is that the Latina?
They all look the same.
They're all brunette. They're all the same height, the same shape, everything the same.
Yeah.
We're lucky that they wear different colors.
Which is why I'm so big on the part 2 cast, because the 3, 4 like beauties in that are so different.
That's true. I mean, even the stoner chick is a brunette.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they go to this place where the guy who is Chris's boyfriend, or was her boyfriend, is hanging out. He's living there. And he's a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, like he wants to get in her pants. She's like, no, why can't we just be here together?
He's like negging her. He's like,
yes.
Yeah.
And he is a little rapey.
Yeah.
He
like mouth rapes her, right?
Yes.
Seizure.
Right. Yeah. Instantly.
Yeah. It's
going in for the kissing, which is, I mean, at least it's not, rape, but it's still not
it's
one.
It's
aggressive.
It's pretty aggressive.
It's aggressive,
yeah.
and that guy's kind of a dick. And like he tells her like, I could have spent a weekend with whoever.
With so and so Betty Joe, what's her face?
Yeah,
or whatever.
and
yeah.
It's like, asshole.
Yeah,
it's like,
dick.
Stop. But she's kind of into him.
Well, I think she has low self-esteem, because we find out later.
Yes. So we find out that Chris, as she's telling dickhead boyfriend, what's going on. Well, actually telling the audience.
Chris is pretty vulnerable.
Yes, pretty vulnerable. Because at one point in time, a few months back, like 6 months ago or whatever, she came home from a date with this guy. She came in late, and her mom and dad bitched her out. Her mom slapped her or hit her, and she went out and was like, fuck you, I'm going out into the woods, because like you do.
Right.
And so, as you do.
That's how you rebel when...
you go out into the woods.
New York.
Yeah. And she gets attacked by this deformed dude.
By a deformed dude. And she blacks out.
She doesn't
know what happens.
She doesn't know what happens
next.
She
wakes up in her bed, and her parents never spoke of it.
That sounds like...
What the hell happened there? I mean,
I hate the fact that Jason might be sexually charged.
I think that's weird.
It's weird, and it is exploiting.
Yeah, very.
It's an exploitation move,
and it's never something that's really explored later, ever again. Because it's like they threw it out there, and it wasn't loved, and so they're like, oh, pull it back, don't do it again. Yeah.
I don't like the idea of so it's implied that Jason not only attacked her but wasn't going to kill her.
Right.
Why she was not killed, I could not tell you, because he tried to kill child Tommy Jarvis for getting in the way.
So it shows that he's got some other motivation in what he is about, and it just doesn't jive.
It doesn't seem like Jason Voorhees has motivation other than revenge.
Revenge, to kill everything in his path.
And because he is constantly referred to, and these are the movie's words throughout the series, he's referred to as retarded.
Yeah.
He's referred to as a mongoloid.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is set up to say he has primal instincts that do not include sex.
Right.
It's revenge. It's simple revenge, simple anger.
Right.
Sex does not usually play into that type of mentality, I would not think. But they explored it.
So this, I think, is where we agree that our final girl in this in part 3 is problematic.
It's problematic only because it's problematic through our villain.
Yes.
Not through our lead girl.
Right.
Whereas we had a little bit of a problem being that Alice is truly shown her ability to handle the problem and handle situations presented to her. And Jenny is kind of stumbles into the role, even though she is capable of handling it. She's not set up as being, we know this is our final girl, other than the fact that she's the lead star. Chris, while she has the cuteness, she has the innocence, and even when her innocence is taken from her by her, by what we learn,
Right.
She has the makings of a good final girl. However, she is.
I actually think that.
Yeah, it's like she's subverted.
She's a victim.
Yes,
she's a victim already, and
which I guess in some ways gives her the ability to fight back and win.
And she's taking power back, right?
Yeah,
which is
good.
A powerful message.
Yeah, and that's good.
It's not actually. I guess it's not problematic in the sense of her arc, but
she's unlike every other survivor girl of this series.
She's definitely different. I feel like the possible rape is a little out of left field.
Yeah,
it's there. It helps her character, I suppose, but it doesn't feel right in the context of our story. And I also really don't like how maniacally insane she is at the end. Because it takes away her power. It takes away her power. I don't feel like she overcame. She
just survived again.
Right, but she has not become better for it.
You're right. She's actually left worse than the first time.
And that really bothers me.
Yeah, that is problematic. Yeah, I mean, the actress who played Chris as a character in general is fine.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with it. In fact, probably the girl who played Chris, she's terrible. I can't
remember her name.
But she is probably the one actress who was the best out of the three main girls. There's no awkward monologues. There are no, she seems to be, you almost think, oh, she's in this movie and she got the lead because of other people or because of other roles she's had. Like she feels like she's a little bit more comfortable in her lines, in the way she acts, the way she flirts. She
feels a little more established.
Yeah, she feels it's a little more professional. Whereas the other two seem like we just have to take whoever can take the money that we can offer.
Mm-hmm.
The girl who plays Chris seems a little more established, a little bit more comfortable, a little more polished. But I mean, the movie seems like a little more polished.
One would argue, though, that our former final girls that actually helped their characters, that actually kind of brought a little more relatability, vulnerability.
And certainly with Alice, you feel a little bit more.
Feel like the way with Alice.
Yeah, it's a little bit more innocence or naivete, maybe. Yeah. But anyway, so Chris has history with Jason.
Yeah.
Jason starts slicing his way through the people. He obtains. No, first he does he get the hockey mask before he kills everybody else? Or Shelley gets killed off screen, and the reason why. Okay, I want to bring that up first because we talked about off-screen kills previously. There's a reason why I think Shelley is killed off-screen and not seen. Whereas with Ned, I think it's just meant to be what happened to Ned? Oh, he's dead in the top bunk while these two are fucking down below, which how they didn't see them when they got into the bunk is beyond me.
Right, sure.
But anyway, I think Shelley's not killed because I think we're supposed to really like Shelley because he's picked on.
I think you're right.
And he is meant to be kind of oh man, why did they kill the guy who didn't do anything wrong to anybody? He just wants to be liked by a girl. So I think they spared us his death scene.
Maybe.
Because I think we're supposed to really appreciate Shelley, which I kind of do. I don't think you do. But I think we're spared that scene. But Shelley had the hockey mask. Jason comes out with the hockey mask on and the spear gun that Shelley had.
Yeah.
Why Shelley was carrying around a loaded spear gun is questionable, especially when he was trying to prank the girl he likes, but whatever. And there's it's really kind of a cool, iconic scene. Jason walks out, and you get to really see the size of Jason. And he is very no nonsense.
You see him like full frame, imposing, hockey mask,
the green shirt, It's what you think of Jason. It's the costume that's sold this time of year.
It's the reintroduction of this killer.
Yes, and now he is transformed into an iconic symbol.
Yes.
He is now on the level of Michael Myers, who has a specific look and an imposing nature to him. So he comes out. The girl thinks it's Shelley. It is not. It is Jason.
Certainly not.
And he shoots her in the fucking face.
He shoots her right in the eyeball
with the harpoon gun, which is a really cool death.
It's a really cool 3D shot too.
It is. It's a very well done 3D shot. The making of that shot, when they talked about it, like he basically hooked himself
line
and it's perfect.
It's really cool.
It's really well done, and it's super duper iconic.
Yep.
Maybe the most iconic kill until you get to the sleeping bag.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. Which one is that in? Is that in
7?
7? Yeah.
So, and that's Kane Hodder being Kane Hodder.
Right.
And being awesome.
Yes.
But, the other really cool kill. So, pregnant girl and her boyfriend have sex in the hammock.
Yeah.
They figured it out is not the way I would have suggested they do it. If they'd asked me, I would have been like,
sex swing.
Sex swing is option number 2. I would have just been like, dude, you're on bottom. The girl gets on top because she can control that better than you can control what you're doing.
I say,
but sex swing.
I say sideways best. Girl on her back, guy on his feet, sex swing. Boom.
Welcome to How to Have Sex on a Hammock.
Yes. Two better options than the movie showed us.
Yeah, which is just missionary. Which to me does not think like, I don't think that would work. Not in a hammock. Jason, so the girl decides to get up, take a shot.
Yeah.
The guy, like an asshole, is walking around on his hands. Why? You said it.
Because he can.
Because he can.
Yeah.
They said, oh, you can do this. Well, this gives me an idea for an awesome kill, which is basically to get split in two from the balls to
it's
whatever.
It's an awesome kill.
It is because it's shot up from a transparent ceiling or from a transparent floor, and it's just he collapses, and it's just really well shot.
He crumples. It's really brutal.
Yeah, it is brutal.
I think it's the most brutal kill of the first 3 films.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's this guy just got his rocks off. Now he's taking a machete.
Then he got his rocks off.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Those things are dangling free. So Jason then goes back into the bedroom that they were in, and she gets a kind of a Kevin Bacon style, except for this time instead of an arrow, it's a whole machete through her throat.
Yeah.
2 for 1 kill.
Another cool Savini effect. Like him kind of in some way improving upon his effect from the first movie.
Right. So 2 for 1 kill. That was the pregnant girl, which is, that's kind of brutal when you think about it. Although I
honestly don't even remember. Like
I don't know if that was even scripted.
That she, I didn't even remember it. Like
I believe in the Crystal Lake Memories documentary. I think that girl says she made it up on the spot.
Yeah, I think you're right.
To give an extra blow to her death, which
sure.
I guess. When you think about it, yes, but she's not that well known.
Right.
Throughout the story that you feel, you feel worse for the girl who got speared through the face because
Yeah.
You're supposed to like Shelley. She's the girl that Shelley likes.
Right.
You know. So now that leaves our survivor girl, Chris, and Steve.
Yeah.
I think Steve is the
If
guy's
he's still
name.
alive. How did he die?
Well, he dies because Chris, they get separated. Like he goes outside to see what's like why the phone line is cut or something.
Something. They give him something to do.
Oh, no, the hippies died too. They get stabbed or run through or whatever.
They were pretty pointless.
They were pointless. They were caricature, joke characters.
They were machete fodder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, so Chris is trying to figure out where all her friends are. Not looking good.
Yeah.
Not looking good here,
Not
guys.
at all.
And so Steve's like, I'm going outside. I think his name's Steve. I'm going outside to see what's going on. And he disappears, kind of. And so she goes outside looking for him, and it's like looking around for him, goes back inside. Jason's got him, mouth covered, and then squeezes his face, and his eyeball flies out.
That's right. That we discussed how strange that was, because
you have an interesting theory about that.
Yeah, because why is he so concerned about keeping him quiet in that moment?
My guess is, just in the terms of what the writers and what the movie makers were thinking, I think they were like, it's just because we don't want to give it away that he's outside, and not to give it away to her. But I think that you have an interesting kind of, like I do about part one where Jason kills Ned.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like, well, he has a history with this girl. Clearly there was some encounter. It's ambiguous as to what happened, what was actually what went down there. But yeah, it's almost like he's killing everyone around Chris.
Yes.
To leave her for whatever he wants.
Essentially to make her the final girl.
Right.
A manufactured final girl.
Yeah, so this I feel like is the first of the movies where the final girl is almost purposely driven by the killer.
Yeah.
Right? So it's Jason, subconsciously or not, is there's something about this girl that we don't ever understand, but he is killing everyone around her.
Yeah.
And she's meant to be the last.
Yeah, and that's kind of interesting, and I think that there's subtext there at the very least. So now, one thing that you mentioned that you really liked, the cat and mouse that results from this.
Yes.
So she eventually finds all of her friends dead. Jason comes out. She does not know it's the person who attacked her until much, much later.
Yes, exactly.
So they start, the chase is on, essentially, leads them to a barn.
It feels very much like Halloween with Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, like hiding in closets, climbing out windows. Like it is misdirection. Yeah, like trickery. It's really, really like fun to watch.
And the one thing that you mentioned about her that I find particularly interesting too, she goes on the offensive.
Yes.
The other two girls before this are defensive minded.
Yes.
And Chris actually is capable of hurting him and taking it to him.
Yeah,
she stabs him a couple of times.
She takes several swipes at him on the hallway. The hallway scene is really cool.
Well, it's enclosed. It's tight.
And she comes at him.
Yes.
Instead of cowering, instead of hiding, instead of retreating, she comes at him.
Which also makes the end that much more disappointing because she's so strong.
Right, exactly. And he retreats. He takes steps back.
Yeah, she is forcing him to back into a defensive position.
Yes.
And it's probably the only time that you ever really, truly see him not pushing the advantage that he's bigger and stronger.
Right. And there isn't that cliche moment either where he like stops her dead in her tracks or grabs the weapon and then enforces his will. Like she actually wins that encounter. Right.
And only retreats because shit, I stuck a knife in his leg. I gotta go.
I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta do the smart thing. Yeah.
Right. And she's doing So this is a pretty well shot final sequence because it is several encounters Now, one thing we didn't talk about, which comes back into play at the end, there was a motorcycle gang. We mentioned the motorcycle gang. Shelley and I can't think of the girl that he likes. They go into town.
Yeah.
They get hassled by a trio of motorcycle people who they wear different patches.
Yeah, they're
loosely affiliated.
Yeah.
They're pals, but pals from different gangs.
Maybe.
So they're hanging out in Crystal Lake, and so they hassle Shelley and the girl, and Shelley actually wins by, first he fucks up and knocks over their bikes, then he runs over their bikes after he plays chicken.
They've gone too far.
Yeah, they've gone too far. This time they've gone too far. So they end up back at the camp to kind of do a little bit of revenge of their own. They siphon the gas out of the van, which
smoking a cigarette, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and that also foils Chris being able to escape.
Yeah.
Because she can't drive the
car
out.
Which is pretty good storytelling, actually.
Yeah, that actually is pretty good because it brings back something that you are forced to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they you think all three of them are killed, but when Chris gets basically trapped inside the barn with Jason, and they're fighting. The main motorcycle guy, this black guy, comes out and is like, you ever saw him get bludgeoned. You didn't see him actually get killed. So he basically saves Chris by kind of doing the Paul thing from part 2.
Yeah.
He distracts Jason.
The distraction, yeah.
And Jason hacks him to shit.
Oh my god.
Like
multiple blows
with the machete.
Yeah.
Chris picks up an axe.
Yeah.
And sticks it into Jason's skull, and it's something that actually is very, very well kept in continuity throughout the rest of the Friday the 13th movies. A break in his hockey mask that looks like an axe has gone through it. And so we kind of get, just to round out the trilogy, a surprise ending, a twist ending.
Yeah.
She thinks that Jason's not dead, but she just ends up seeing things. Oh, she also realizes that Jason is her attacker because she hangs him.
Yeah.
And when she tries to leave the barn, he's hanging right at the door, which is fucking awesome.
It's a really great shot.
Yeah. And he comes to life again, and he goes to take off the noose, and it moves up his hockey mask. And she's like, "Oh shit, that's the guy."
And did you recognize that deformed face anywhere?
Yeah, that's a face only a mother could love.
Right.
And so she's like, "Oh no, you."
Yeah.
And so then that's what kind of gives her that final strength to say, "I'm gonna fucking axe you in the face."
Yeah.
With this hatchet.
That's right, because the hatchet came after he was done. Yeah.
So he was stabbed a couple times.
Yeah.
Hung. And then axed in the face.
Axed in the face.
So he takes some damage in this one from a character who, her backstory is suspect, but is actually pretty strong.
Yeah.
And so she thinks he survived, and she's like freaking out. She's like in a little boat out on the lake, and she sees him, and then she realizes, nope, that's just I'm seeing things. And then his mom jumps out of the lake.
Mosquito
that's weird.
larvae, baby frogs, and tadpoles.
From the lake, stuck to her. They put little fake worms on her face.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's gross. Obviously, that's a dream because Mrs. Voorhees doesn't have a head about her.
Yeah.
So she wakes up hysterical.
Yeah, she is truly hysterical.
And gets
maniacal. I mean, she starts to laugh hysterically. Yeah.
She's screaming. She gets put in the back of a
police
car.
It's a really shitty, sad ending for her.
Yeah, and it could have been a cool ending.
It could have.
They could have made this an open-ended ending where they could have been like, ooh, she's, like you get that impression at the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
Sally is fucked.
Yeah.
And she is crazy.
Yeah.
You see that at the end of Tourist Trap.
Yeah.
Which is a weird movie to bring up. in comparison.
Well, we both love that movie.
Yes,
so.
but the survivor girl in that is maniacal at the end, but she also shows almost a dangerous part of like a breakage.
Yeah.
Sally, it could have been handled better. It's left to essentially victimize her again.
Yeah.
Which is counter what they had done to make her the hero. And so, yeah, that's a little disappointing, but
I mean, it's horrifying.
It's horrifying and it's sad.
Yeah.
But it is the wrong kind of horrifying and sad that I don't think we really should have gotten.
It's not what we want.
She should have. It would have been if you'd have just left it with Mrs. Voorhees coming out of the water and pulling her under, and then just cut.
Yeah.
You can leave people wondering what happened.
Right.
But instead they had her basically.
I'm not even honestly a fan of the Mrs. Voorhees coming out of the water thing.
I'm not either, but it's a nice wrap up to a trilogy.
Yeah, it's still a little like on the nose, pretty goofy. I mean, there's no ambiguous nature to that at that point. It's nonsensical. She doesn't even know the backstory.
No, why she would even think of
so there isn't even a reason for her to imagine something like that.
The original ending that they had initially filmed, actually, if you're going to victimize her and you want Jason to be a little bit more larger than life, the original ending actually is better.
What was the original ending?
So she is going back to one of the cabins. The cabin that in the new ending she imagines he's inside of.
Yeah.
She goes up to the door. He throws open the door, comes out, and basically, I think, chokes her to death. So he kills her at the end, but he's alive.
Right.
And she meets an actual end that gives him power, but doesn't really turn her into a loony.
Right.
It would not. It would be kind of a bummer ending because she won. Yeah. But at the very least, it is not.
Well, here's the thing. Frank Mancuso Jr. wanted Jason to be dead.
Right.
At the end of this movie. So what? There wasn't a reason to keep any kind of hope alive that Jason was alive. And why not just give her a hero's ending?
Yeah.
It does. I don't know. It just.
You could have just. You could have had her axe him in the face. And then walk out of the barn. And the cops could show it, like you could have like a crane shot and she's walking out of the barn. And the cops pull up and then you could fade that to the zoom in of Jason lying there. You give her you could say, well, yeah, of course she's gone crazy. Or she had to go to the psychiatrist or something. She had to go see Terry Kaiser for part 7.
They wanted a stinger.
But the problem is that not only did they get the stinger, but then they also had her getting led away by the police, stark raving mad. I think
they made two mistakes.
There's too much there. There's too much there.
Agreed.
No, I mean, the third one is what people know best because it's the hockey mask. It's the gimmick.
Yeah.
It's
the 3D gimmick.
There's a lot of kills.
Creative kills. That's another thing I don't think we've quite touched on is that this was, I think, the first one where there was a clear intention of escalating the kills.
Yeah.
Like the kills needed to be more and more creative after this.
Right.
And I think it was the first time in a horror franchise that you saw that kind of thing.
Yes. And because, I mean, Halloween followed the escalation that part 2 had.
Right, but the kills never got to the ridiculous.
Right, whereas
we pointed out the example of the hot tub scene, which is very gruesome and different. Like it's not like a direct kill, which I always feel like I like it, but it also doesn't feel in character for Michael Myers either to kill someone that way.
He's not usually that brutal. He just does what he does quick.
Well, yeah. He directly kills you. He doesn't like flip a switch.
Right.
So like Michael Myers kills are more like I've stalked you to the point of relentlessness.
Right.
And now you die.
Right.
Right. Jason, it's more like, all right, I'm gonna kill you, and it's gonna be in a more gruesome way than the last person I killed.
Yeah, yeah. You thought last guy had a bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, you're next on the menu,
Right.
buddy. Yeah, I mean, and certainly, his ends get more and more gruesome too.
Yeah.
Except for 7. 7 kind of takes a step backwards. It's a dumb ending in 7. But like in 4, I mean, he gets it bad in 4.
Yeah.
6 is kind of gross what ends up happening, but by that time he's a full-on monster. 8 is, I mean, he gets melted into a small child.
Right, which is so weird.
So weird. We'll get to those eventually, but yeah, no, it's yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like part 3, I like part 3. I'd rather watch part 2. I certainly would rather watch parts 4 or 6.
Yes, me too.
But I like that they. I mean, they people always talk about formula with them, with the movies, but part 3 did try some new things, and they tried to escalate things. They had the gimmick already, this shoot in 3D, but they made an icon out of Jason. They gave the girl a backstory that is interesting at the very least.
Sure.
And at least made her, they escalated her beyond what the first 2 survivors were. So, yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's not a, it is not my favorite, but it's probably, if I were to say 2, 4, and 6 were the best, kind of like Star Trek. 2, 4, and 6 were the best. Then I would say 3 and 1 are real close to one another. I'd probably say that it probably ranks actually. I don't know. I mean, with 7, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a fine movie. It's weird. It's almost a throwaway in some cases because of how much they escalate.
But it's
things.
important to the franchise.
But
for a lot of reasons.
Absolutely important
for a
to the
lot of
franchise.
reasons. For a lot of reasons.
But it also begins the idea that at any point in time you can start watching these movies, and they are.
And in a lot of ways, it wraps up kind of a storyline.
Yeah.
So with 4, you had kind of start a new trilogy centered around a central character,
a protagonist,
Tommy Jarvis, right? So you actually get away from the idea of the final girl in those 3 movies. It's totally a different focus, and I think interesting for that.
Yeah, and they start to make Jason into a boogeyman.
He starts to be
instead of just
a
guy who's avenging his mother.
And he's not even actually in one of those.
You're right.
Those 3, yeah.
Right, but he is a boogeyman in the sense that he is. Well, the reputation precedes the actual killer.
Right, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we really tore these apart. Well, not in the critical way, but in a breakdown
Voorhees way.
You know, well, we opened up the movies. We played with the guts. We did a little bit more of a leather phase with these movies.
Yeah,
played with the guts. Ate it. Yeah. Ingested it.
Yeah, rubbed it on her face.
Rubbed it on. Wore it as a skin suit.
Well, that wraps up our 3-part 10th episode extravaganza. We hope you guys like that. You probably noticed some similarities, some differences, things like that compared to how we do episodes nowadays, but we certainly hope that you enjoyed hearing the never before released pilot episode, if you will. I know Jason and I very much enjoy doing this show, and we're very excited that we could have something from our first ever recording that we could release, let alone to release almost 3 hours worth of stuff. So we're definitely excited about moving forward. Again, next week another new episode will be out, so in just a matter of about 5 days or so you should be able to hear from us again, and then every Wednesday going forward from there. But As always, please feel free to send us any comments, any suggestions, or any questions that you may have, either through our Facebook page, which you can find that as just listed as Film Seizure. You can also send those to us via email at filmseizure@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter and on Instagram. Both of those are Film Seizure, all one word. So until next week, this is Geoff Arbuckle saying thank you for listening, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye.
I mean, I hate the fact that Jason might be sexually charged.